The woods are hungry, and they never forget. After the divorce, I was a ghost. A 42-year-old phantom drifting through a crappy apartment in a city whose name I'd already forgotten. No wife, no kids, no dog, no job that mattered. Just a crushing, numb existence. The only thing I felt was the sting of cheap coffee grounds and the blank stares of customers at the even cheaper cafe where I'd landed a job. I needed to vanish, to be erased somewhere no one could find the pieces. So, I applied for everything. Data entry, truck driving, night watchman, janitor at a morgue. And one night, bleary-eyed and desperate, I filled out a form for a seasonal fire lookout. The posting was odd. It stated the position in the northern reach was currently filled, but they were accepting applications in case of sudden vacancy. I remember a cold prickle on my neck as I read it, but I clicked submit anyway. What did I have to lose? 3 days later, the call came. A man named Mark, his voice like gravel under a boot, offered me the job. He told me to pack, to be ready to leave in 2 days. The current lookout had to leave unexpectedly. The role was mine until the end of September. I didn't ask questions. I sold what little I had, stuffed a duffel bag, and drove north until the roads turned to veins on the map and then to dirt tracks clawed through endless pine. That's how I found myself, Oscar Reed, standing at a trailhead at 8 a.m., a backpack of nerves and canned beans on my shoulders. The air was crisp, smelling of damp earth and pine sap. Mark's directions were simple: follow the blazed trail for 4 hours. The tower would be waiting. The hike was a beautiful, silent cathedral. Sunlight filtered through the canopy in dusty shafts. For the first time in years, the static in my head began to quiet. This was it. My clean slate. I reached the clearing just past 1. The tower was a stark, skeletal giant against the sky, 100 feet of iron latticework, crowned with a single wooden cabin. A narrow staircase spiraled around its legs like a rusted spine. At its base sat a shabby outhouse and a sturdy locked shed, the food cache. It was isolated, stark, and perfect. The climb winded me. The cabin door groaned open to a single room, a cot, a worn desk with a large radio, a map nailed to the wall, a toolbox, a battery lantern, binoculars. The walls were mostly windows, offering a staggering, dizzying view of an endless green ocean. My new world. Remembering Mark's instructions, I fumbled with the radio. Hello? This is the new lookout. Oscar. Static crackled, then a warm, female voice cut through. Hey there, new guy. I was starting to wonder. I'm Allison. I've been covering your quadrant. She sounded young, cheerful. We exchanged pleasantries. She gave me the basics: radio protocol, weekly food drops, the core duty of watching for smoke and unauthorized campers. Everything else is in the handbook on the desk, she said. Give it a read. And Oscar? Welcome to the quiet. The handbook was a faded binder filled with dry procedures. As I flipped through it, a single sheet of lined paper, folded small, fluttered to the floor. It was covered in a frantic, jagged scrawl of blue ink. Rules to avoid the smiling lady. If you see a woman in the woods with a manic smile on her face, do not approach or draw attention. Return to your tower immediately. If your radio goes off and it's anyone except your closest tower, Allison, do not answer. No matter what you hear. If you hear a woman crying between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m., ignore it. It is not a woman. At night, always sleep with your lamp on. If it starts to flicker, run and turn on the main overhead light until morning. If the lamp goes out before you can do this, hide under your cot until sunrise. If you hear someone running up the stairs at night, turn on the main light. If you don't by the time they reach the top, it's too late. If you wake up and see the smiling woman staring through your window, hide under your covers and hold your breath. She will enter. You will feel her breathing over you. Do not breathe. It will last only seconds. Once you feel her leave, turn on the main light. If you hear scratching on your hut or by the outhouse, turn off all radios and hide under your covers until it stops. If you investigate a campfire at night and hear a woman scream upon arrival, run back to the tower. Do not stop. If you return to your tower and see someone already inside, do not enter. Run. Do not stop running until you reach the next tower. Do not look back. Underscore 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 underscore. Rule 10 was blank. Just a underlined space, waiting. A chill, deeper than the mountain air, locked my joints. A prank. It had to be. Some hazing ritual for the new guy. I almost radioed Allison to laugh about it, but a stubborn pride stopped me. I wouldn't be the jumpy fool. I crumpled the paper, then, after a moment, smoothed it out and tucked it into my pocket. My first day passed in a blur of unpacking and exploration. As dusk bled into night, the vast, silent darkness felt different. Oppressive. I left the battery lamp on as I climbed into the cot, its soft glow a tiny island in a black sea. I was jolted awake much later by Allison's voice on the radio. Just checking in. Good night, Oscar. Good night, I mumbled back, heart hammering. Wide awake now, I lay listening. That's when I heard it, a slow, rhythmic scritch, 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 from somewhere outside. Like long nails on weathered wood. I sat up. The scratching paused. I lay back down. Scritch, scritch, scritch. Faster now. Almost eager. Then, both radios on the desk emitted a sudden, piercing squeal of feedback. I scrambled up, fumbling for the volume knobs. My eyes darted to the crumpled rules in my pocket. Rule 7. Scratching. Turn off all radios. Hide under covers. I lunged, killing the power on both units, and dove back into bed, pulling the thin blanket over my head. The scratching continued, now closer. Right outside the door. A slow, deliberate drag of a single nail down the cabin wall. I held my breath, sweat cooling on my skin. It felt like hours before the sound stopped, and exhaustion finally pulled me under. It was an animal, I told myself the next morning, sunlight making a liar of the night. A raccoon on the roof. Radio interference. The rational explanations felt flimsy, but I clung to them. I spent the day patrolling my assigned trails, the rules a nagging whisper in my head. At dusk, I spotted an illegal campsite in a clearing, a single, faded orange tent pitched near a circle of charred stones. No car, no hiker in sight. Hello? You can't camp here. I called. Silence. An unease, cold and instinctive, settled in my gut. The rules. Campfire at night. I pulled the paper from my pocket. Rule 8. Hear a scream, run. There was no scream. Just an empty, unsettling quiet. I radioed Allison, giving her the coordinates. I see it. Edge of your zone. I'll handle it. You head back, she said, her voice still cheerful but with a new edge. I didn't argue. On the trek back, I noticed a narrow footpath veering off the main trail, overgrown but clear. Strange. It wasn't on my map. Curiosity, that old killer, got the better of me. I followed it. It led to a dead-end wall of bramble. But there, tied to a low branch, was a strip of red cloth. A marker. Another was visible deeper in the thicket. And another. A trail of breadcrumbs. The sixth cloth lay on the ground. As I picked it up, I felt a cord tug. With a grating shift of earth, a camouflaged wooden hatch lifted beside me, revealing a hole in the ground. A bunker. A homemade thing, about 10 feet deep, with a rough ladder. At the bottom, a rumpled sleeping bag and a digital camera, its lens shattered. A chill that had nothing to do with temperature seized me. This was no animal's work. Someone had been living here. Hiding here. I took the camera. That night, after a silent dinner, I plugged the camera into my portable power bank. It flickered to life. The gallery was a digital ghost story. The early photos were mundane: a lake, a pickup truck, a cozy-looking living room. Then, a photo of this very tower. At its base, a family, a broad-shouldered man with a kind, weathered face, a blonde woman laughing with her head on his shoulder, and a gap-toothed boy of about 10, grinning between them. A happy family. The next photos were of the bunker's construction, documenting its growth from a shallow scrape to a finished hideout. The man was in these, too, selfies showing sweat and determination. This was his project. Then, the photos changed. Dark, blurry shots of the woods at night. Then one, startlingly clear, of a lone pine. And at its base, a shadow that was all wrong. It was too long, too thin, and it seemed to be standing upright while the tree's shadow lay flat. In the next photo, the shadow was closer to the camera. In the next, it was reaching. The final photo was a selfie of the man, taken in this very cabin. His face was gaunt, eyes wide with a terror so profound it transcended the pixelated image. Behind him, in the dark window reflection, was the faint, pale smear of a woman's face, her mouth a dark, stretched oval. Harvey. The previous lookout. He wasn't on vacation. He'd been building a fortress. And he'd seen something. A noise ripped me from the screen. A woman's cry, shredded with agony, echoing from the woods below. Rule 3. Ignore it. But this wasn't just sound, it was despair given voice. It pulled at something in my chest, a hook of sympathy and dread. Against every screaming instinct, I grabbed my flashlight and knife, and crept down the stairs. The cry led me off the path, into a thicket. The air grew colder, a pocket of winter in the summer night. I saw her then, crouched by a rotten log. Her back was to me, shoulders heaving. Long, dark hair, a dirty white gown. She sounded so broken. "Hello?" I whispered, the word tasting like ash. The crying stopped. She turned. Her face was a ghoulish parody. Skin stretched taut over bone, white as fungus. Her mouth was a rictus grin, stretching far past where lips should end, revealing rows of small, sharp teeth. But her eyes, they were black pools of a bottomless, hungry malice. Her arms were twisted and bent at impossible angles, bones straining against the skin. Rule 1 flashed in my mind: do not draw attention. I had already screamed. She moved. Not like a person, but a spider, a series of jerky, lightning-fast crawls on her broken limbs. I spun and ran. Her scream followed me, not of pain now, but of frenzied delight, mingling with the sound of cracking joints and rustling leaves right behind me. I hit the tower stairs, taking them 2 at a time. Her scream was at the base, then on the first step. I slammed the cabin door, throwing the bolt I'd never used. The scream stopped instantly. Silence, more terrifying than the chase, pressed in. I sat against the door, shaking, waiting for the impact. It didn't come. When dawn finally bled the black from the sky, I radioed Allison. My voice trembled as I told her everything: the rules, the chase. She was quiet for a long time. Oscar. Harvey, the guy before you, he talked about her. The smiling woman. He lasted over a year. He was tough. But he changed. Started spending nights out of the tower. Then he was just gone. Mark said he quit, but his stuff was still here. She sighed, a static-laced sound of exhaustion. And the guy before him, Rick, he only lasted a week. He asked me once, his first day, if I'd ever seen a woman in the woods who smiles. "Why didn't you tell me?" I demanded. "Would you have believed me? Would you have come?" Her voice softened. "I took this job because my sister, she vanished in these woods, years ago. I thought maybe I could. I don't know. Prevent it for others." Her confession hung in the static. I felt a pang of sympathy, but it was buried under an avalanche of fear. Harvey had known. He'd written the rules. And he'd still vanished. The next few days were a tense ceasefire. I followed the rules like scripture. I slept with lights on, jumped at every night sound. The scratching returned once, and I obeyed Rule 7, hiding under the covers until my lungs burned. I heard the running footsteps on the stairs and flicked the main light on just as the thumping reached the landing. It stopped. I spent a night bathed in the harsh fluorescent glow, staring at the door, waiting. I had to know more. Allison was my only tether, but a distant, crackling voice wasn't enough. I needed to see a human face. I decided to visit her tower. The journey took most of the day. Her quadrant was neglected, trails overgrown. When I finally reached her clearing, my blood went cold. Her tower was a derelict twin of mine, but veiled in cobwebs and grime. A large, recently used fire pit, a blatant violation, smoldered 50 feet away. The cabin door was locked. Peering through the grimy window, I saw a radio, a cot heaped with dirty blankets, and stacks of old newspapers. This wasn't a lookout post. It was a nest. I broke the latch. Inside, the air was thick with dust and decay. The newspapers were all about the same story: 2 sisters vanish on hike. 1 sister found alive after 23-day ordeal. Search continues for missing hiker, Emma. The found sister's photo stared up at me. A younger, cleaner, but unmistakable Allison. Beneath the cot was a heavy backpack. Inside, men's clothing, tools, and a beautiful, custom-made pocket knife. Engraved on the blade, "For my love. Always. Harvey. You shouldn't be here, Oscar." I whirled. Allison stood in the doorway, blocking my exit. She looked decades older than her voice, her hair greasy, eyes sunken and blazing with a feverish light. "She's so hungry, Oscar," Allison whispered, taking a step closer. "My sister, Emma. We got lost. So lost. 4 weeks. She was always the strong one, always smiling, telling me it would be okay." A tear traced a clean path through the dirt on her cheek. But I was so hungry. I pushed her. She fell into a ravine. I heard her bones break. She was still smiling up at me when I left her there. My stomach twisted. Allison. They found me the next day. They never found her. But she found me. She came back, but she's not my sister anymore. She's always hungry. And she blames you. All of you. The lookouts who were supposed to watch, to find people. Her face contorted into a grotesque mimicry of a smile. I feed her. I keep the job filled. I send you people here. It's the only way she doesn't turn on me. The pieces crashed together with horrific clarity. The sudden vacancy. Harvey. Rick. Me. We weren't employees. We were offerings. She lunged, a raw shriek tearing from her throat. I sidestepped, shoving her against the cabin wall. She stumbled, her foot catching on a warped floorboard. With a cry, she pitched backward through the open doorway. There was a sickening series of thuds against the metal stairs, then silence. I ran to the railing. She lay motionless at the tower's base, neck bent at a final angle. A dark pool haloed her head. I had killed her. Panic, pure and electric, shot through me. I fled, running blindly back toward my own tower. The woods seemed to watch. As I ran, Allison's last words echoed, "She's always hungry." I reached my tower as dusk fell. I had one plan left: get to my car and drive until I ran out of continent. I burst into the cabin to grab my gear. And I heard it. Scritch. 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 On the door. Rule 7. I turned off the radio. From the window, I looked down. There, in the gathering gloom at the base of the stairs, a pale face looked up. Stringy dark hair. A smile that split the shadows. The smiling woman. Emma. She knew I was trying to leave. I dove under the covers. The scratching came closer, then stopped. The silence was worse. I peered out. The cabin was dark. My battery lamp began to flicker. Rule 4. Flickering lamp. Turn on main light. I scrambled up. In the window's reflection, I saw her behind me, standing on the balcony, staring in. Her head cocked slowly, bones popping. Rule 6. See her at the window. Hide under covers. Hold your breath. 2 conflicting rules. The lamp died. Darkness swallowed the cabin. I made my choice. I sprinted for the main light switch, flicking it on just as the door burst inward. She was a blur of white and shadow, charging across the room. I lunged for the cot and yanked the covers over my head, clamping a hand over my mouth. I felt her. A freezing presence hovering over the cot. I felt her breath, cold and smelling of wet soil and old blood, through the blanket. My lungs screamed. Spots danced behind my eyelids. Don't breathe. Don't breathe. Just as my vision tunneled, the cold vanished. The pressure lifted. I gasped, sucking in air. The cabin was empty, the door swinging open. The main light hummed. I spent the rest of the night in that blinding light, machete in hand, watching the door. Just before dawn, I saw them, 6 small campfires arranged in a perfect ring around my tower. By each fire stood a dark, still silhouette. One by one, as I watched, the figures toppled forward into their own flames. A tall man. A woman. A child. A broad-shouldered man. A woman with messy blonde hair. Their silent, burning agonies played out below me. The 6th fire burned alone, waiting. For me. As the sky lightened to gray, a voice called from below. Oscar? A young woman with a backpack stood there. Samantha. Mark's daughter, who'd delivered my supplies days before. Oscar, I know. I know about Allison, about Emma, about Harvey. We have to burn her body. It's the only way. Hope, desperate and fragile, bloomed in my chest. How? Rule 10, Oscar. Harvey figured it out, but he was too late. Burn her body, or she'll follow you forever. She's tied to this place, to where she died. I know where it is. Come on. She knew about the rules. She knew about Harvey. It was the first real, human connection I'd had in weeks. I grabbed my machete and the kerosene from my storage, and followed her into the woods. She led me to a cave mouth, a dark slit in a mossy hillside. She's deep inside. Harvey found her. He just couldn't do the last part. We entered, our flashlights piercing the thick darkness. The air grew cold and still. The passage narrowed, then opened into a small, rocky chamber. She's just around this bend, Sam whispered, her voice echoing strangely. A sharp crack sounded behind me. I spun, flashlight beam sweeping the empty tunnel. When I turned back, Sam was gone. Her flashlight lay on the ground, rolling in a circle. Sam? My light found her backpack against the wall. Inside was a tarp, kerosene, a lighter, and a large, beautiful knife, a twin to Harvey's. Engraved with 2 interlocking hearts. Our love is forever. H&S. Samantha. Not Mark's daughter. Harvey's wife. A low, wet cracking sound came from the darkness ahead. I raised my light. Samantha stood there, but she was changing. Her limbs began to twist and elongate, joints popping and reversing. Her skin paled to the color of bone. Her jaw unhinged, stretching into that familiar, horrific grin. Her eyes flooded with black, hungry joy. She hadn't come to save me. She'd come to join him. To bring him a final companion. Me. Harvey misses company, she gurgled, her voice now a chorus of whispers and cracks. Shadows detached from the walls around me. 5 of them. The tall man, Rick. The blonde woman, Allison. The sturdy man, Harvey, his eyes sad but his smile wide and fixed. The child. The first woman from the newspaper. Emma, the smiling woman, crawled from the deepest dark, her head lolling on a broken neck, her smile the widest of all. They closed in, their cold fingers like iron bands on my arms and legs. I fought, but they were too many, too strong. Samantha, no, the thing she had become, crouched before me, her new, sharp teeth glinting. The quiet is better when you're not alone in it, Harvey's shadow whispered, his voice full of a terrible, resigned pity. The last thing I felt was a cold, piercing pain in my chest, and a warmth spreading out from it. The last thing I saw was Emma's smiling face coming closer, her dark eyes filling my world. Transmission received at District Ranger Station, 5:14 a.m. Voice is a hoarse, rhythmic whisper, as if recited from memory. A new man lives in my tower now. He has a family. A dog, too, who visits him. We only leave the darkness when she tells us to. She doesn't want to lose us. I smile now. And when she tells me to burn, I burn, too. I'm writing this to warn you of the smiling lady in the woods. Do not try to find me. This will be the last time I speak to you all. Do not come looking. I belong to her now. And she will never lose me.